It's like the kind of music you hear at a strip club, isn't it, Ray?
We were just having this conversation. The Cam says looks like Ray is at the strip club throwing money up in the air, and I've never ever in my life been in a strip club, so apparently I've led a sheltered life. Now I've been in many burlesque theaters, but I've never been in a strip club.
I have. You're not missing much.
Okay.
So, just that wasn't my thing when I went. Well, what are we talking about today, Ray? We're talking about used EV prices.
Yes, something about used EV prices are dropping the same way George Foreman dropped Joe Frazier in Kingston, Jamaica, during one of the great heavyweight fights of all time. And Howard Cosell was doing the commentary that night. And I can tell you, the first time Frazier got knocked down, it sounded something like this. Down goes Frazier! Down goes Frazier! And so, yeah, that's what's happening. The used car prices are getting knocked on their ass.
Yeah, used EV prices.
Yes.
So this is sort of the counter, I think, to what you guys were talking about on the Ray and Zach show, which is what we're seeing is, GM going all in on their massive expensive trucks and all that, which is whatever on their part. I can't say I've agreed with GM's direction for quite a while.
Yeah.
But while everyone else is starting to make EVs, now the market is finally starting to get flooded with used EVs.
Yes.
Couple that with Tesla's, sort of more chaotic price strategy.
I think that is a really gracious way of framing it. Yeah.
Yes. It's helpful for consumers. Not every consumer likes it. We've talked to, and I've talked to some angry Tesla owners who don't like the prices being dropped all of a sudden because of their resale value and this and that. And
every time they do that, that impacts you and anybody else that already owns a Tesla. It devalues to a certain degree the vehicle that you have, especially when we've seen over the last year the average transaction prices for new EVs has dropped like $9,000 in a year, where everything else has gone up. EVs, the average transaction prices have gone down. So as that continues to happen, yes, it devalues the existing EVs that are already out there.
Yeah, certainly if you've paid a lot for your EV and then, prices drop, either whether you own a Tesla or don't own a Tesla, right? Because it's not like Hyundai Kia can keep charging the same high rates if what their competition is Tesla, and they're dropping rates. So, I get that. I fully understand all that. I'm personally of a different sort of mindset of EV adoption, and and I would like to see that increase. So, like, if my car's value goes down, okay. I mean, for one, I got a good value on it, so I didn't overpay. So I will say that figures into mine. But also, like, okay, so my value goes down a little bit. That's fine. I'm used to that in a normal market anyway. Sure. Every new car I've ever bought in my life was, plummeted the second I drove it off the lot.
What you are describing, okay, is what used to happen to all cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Prior to the pandemic, people knew that if they bought a brand new car, the moment they drove it off the dealer's lot, it was going to depreciate by 20 to 25%.
Yeah.
And once the pandemic hit and dealerships closed and then they reopened, and then there was that shortage of vehicles, suddenly cars weren't depreciating anymore. But what we're talking about, what you're describing with EVs right now, is normal vehicle depreciation. So at least we're seeing something normal in this abnormal market.
Yep.
At least when it comes to EVs. I'm reminded of the movie Young Frankenstein, and apparently, when Igor went to get a brain, it said Abby normal on it, and and we're in an Abby normal market, but EVs are starting to reflect a normal market.
Yep. And I've had that, and I will say some of the people that I've talked to in the community and on chats who are upset about their value of their Tesla, people tend to come to me if they have a Tesla or whatever. So, which is great. I love that. Always come to me. I love talking about it and educating. But a lot of people I've been is, well, now my car isn't worth as much as I owe, and I don't have any equity in it. And
Welcome to the real world.
And I'm just like, so you bought a car then?
Yes.
Right? So what I'm hearing them not directly, but pretty much saying is, I wanted to flip this car. I wanted to drive it, and I wanted to sell it for more than I bought it for.
Yes.
And then I go, I'm sorry that I don't have a lot of sympathy for that. Like, a car is not an appreciating asset.
It's not an investment.
No, it is not.
Never be construed as one.
No, and and look, we have Project Highland coming out. My guess, and I have not heard this anywhere, so I don't have anything to back it up. But I'm guessing Highland's going to come out probably at the end of next month, and my car's value is going to drop significantly because it doesn't have any of the upgrades that the Highland is going to have. Now they've released sort of mock-ups of the seats, or actually the seat, ventilated seats, no stocks, lots of upgrades in this vehicle, the new hardware 4, all the stuff coming out. So my vehicle is going to be worth a lot less.
Yes.
And I have thought about that, and I thought, oh, do I have to upgrade? And then I immediately thought, I still really like my car. I'm perfectly fine with it. Like, I have no problems with my car. If they didn't update it, I wouldn't feel bad about it. The fact that they're updating it doesn't change the fact that I like my car. And, I know I have hundreds of thousands of miles available on my vehicle without any problem. I've lost almost no battery range in 3 years. So, like, I don't have a problem with this.
Well, I use a Pixel phone, and I bought it directly from Google. So I get emails from Google where they always try and tempt me to trade it in to get the newest one. And the temptation's always there until the realization hits that I don't use half the stuff that's built in. I'm exaggerating. I don't use a tenth of the stuff that's built into my existing phone. So why do I need a phone that does stuff even better when I wouldn't use any of it to begin with? So you just have to fight off the temptations sometime that are out there. My phone's a little over a year old. I think it could last probably a long, long time, especially when, when I don't use most of the functions that it has. So,
yeah, I mean, and we have some comments here from the community. Mark says maybe they're factoring depreciation of the battery, not just in dollars, but increased capacity with newer models. That's absolutely something to consider. No matter what, we talk about this all the time. Battery technology is changing. It will not be the same in 10 years. So, it looks like the charging connector finally will be the same. So that's helpful as far as that goes.
yes.
But, you're chasing a nonlinear depreciation curve. I wouldn't want to stay in front of that. Me neither. Like, I don't want to try to do that. Technology is changing. For me, it's, do I like my my vehicle? If I do, then it's fine. Just drive it and keep it. If you're trying to flip it and you're trying to make a business out of it, then first off, EV is probably not the right way to go. But I don't know what vehicles you're going to buy right now. Maybe Igor here knows.
Yeah.
you know, he's buying EVs right and left, Teslas right and left, so he can flip them. But he's doing it kind of on a wholesale
Yeah.
level that most of us can't get in there and do. But you know, that's a different story than I think a lot of people during this pandemic got the idea that car flipping was a way of life that you could do.
It's almost as if during the pandemic, people everyday people suddenly thought they could become car flippers and make money, much like there was a time when everybody and their brother thought they could be a day trader on the stock market and make money, and some were successful,
Mm-hmm.
and many were not.
Yeah.
Okay. and you just have to recognize the fact that for most of us, if you are not thoroughly invested in the business model, you're not going to be successful. Just because somebody that bought a vehicle, was able to flip it right away 2 years ago, doesn't mean that person can buy a vehicle today and turn around and flip it today and make money on it. Markets change. And we're getting back to a certain degree, and we see it at the auctions. We follow that data. Yeah.
I have a lot of experience with flippers.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, I have a real estate license here in California, and I've done a lot with flippers. And yeah, it's the same thing. They see this market, flippers in particular, see stuff on TV.
Yes, they watch
and get
TV, and I can do that.
Yeah. And they have these outrageous ideas, and it doesn't work out most of the time. It does not work out for them. And it's the same thing here as, I think Igor would agree with this. Cybertruck's the next flipping opportunity. I think for at least half a year until they ramp up, it certainly will be. And as Aaron says, EVs will depreciate faster due to the advance in technology. How much is your 10-year-old laptop worth?
Exactly.
I mean, I will say I am Microsoft certified, but I use Macs exclusively because I can hang on to them a lot longer, and they still work just as they did first day. Whereas my old PCs, like by the time I walked out of the store with it, there was a new generation already sitting in there, and it was old. And then Dwayne here has a question about surge protectors for EV chargers at home. What happens if an electric straight hits your home and short circuits the car? I know the answer. Do you know the answer to this one, Ray?
You call AAA. You call your local electrician. I have no idea.
No, part of the EV is that it takes the current that it takes. It has its own surge protector. You can't do that. So, unless that fails,
yes,
which it can, and we have seen it fail, and that's where some of the fires indeed do happen, is when that fails, and you don't need a surge for that.
Yeah.
That's just if that protection in there fails, then there's a serious problem. But the likelihood of it failing, very, very low. The charger has stuff. The car has a lot of protection on it. There's software and hardware protection on it. So it's not like plugging your laptop in. Although I guess it is if your laptop has that little black box on it. It's like that.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, there's you can build stuff in, but my goodness gracious, if your house gets struck by lightning while you're charging your car, my guess is as good as those protectors might be that are built into any vehicle, that type of surge probably could cause some damage.
It would probably not on the vehicle. It probably would on the surge protector. Certainly would on the house.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you have all your breakers and everything installed correctly, and it just you just get the damage to the house and not a runaway fire.
One would hope. Yes.
But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people who are upset about the falling prices only because I think they wanted to flip their car. And for me, it's just look, the EV market is going to fall faster than the ICE market for all the reasons everyone here has rightly pointed out. For me, I think that's a good thing. And I think overall, Ray, you probably feel that way too. A cheaper used EV market is better for the consumer.
Especially if the EVs start coming in less expensively than the comparable ICE vehicles. The cheaper the EVs get, even as pre-owned, will make the migration from ICE to EV quicker. Now, having said that, I also believe that as we get closer and closer to 2035, when all these manufacturers in many of the states have said, well, you won't be able to sell internal combustion engines and new ones in our state anymore. I think those existing ICE vehicles will suddenly become worth more because there won't be any new ones that will be being built to replace them. And
I agree.
so that those values, I mean, talk about flipping. The whole thing could turn on its head at that point when manufacturers aren't building any more ICE vehicles for consumers. So at that point, yes, I think EVs will continue to depreciate rapidly, and ICE vehicles come 2034, 2035, they're going to appreciate rapidly. Because
I agree. I think the last model years of a lot of vehicles are going to be hoarded and collected and sold because, remember, even if all the rules and laws pass for EV stuff and, not selling ICE vehicles, they're new, not used. So those used will be around for a very, very long time.
Yes.
And then MJ4 Kramer here says, what prices have free fallen? The Model 3 is down 21.2% year over year. So I would call that quite a fall. And again, I think right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Igor is even seeing Model 3s at the mid 20s.
Wow.
And then, when Project Highland comes out, then we're going to end up seeing probably low 20s, maybe even 20 for my generation of Model 3.
And suddenly they become much more affordable to a larger group of people.
Yeah.
And the good news is, I believe, that people who convert from ICE to those vehicles, ultimately, they're going because the price is a price point that they can afford, and then they will find out that it's a much cheaper vehicle to maintain than had they bought a $20,000 ICE vehicle.
Yeah. Once you figure maintenance and fueling costs over the time, certainly. Richard, we actually did a show about that, about the misconception of EV weights. They're really not all that different. So we did a show, but we are going to do some pre-recorded videos bringing up the numbers. But that one is one we have brought up the numbers, but we'll do some pre-recorded for those because I think it is definitely still out there. And I believe I did bring up that article about don't go into a parking garage because your EV is too heavy, even though your F-150 is much heavier. And nobody says, hey, don't drive your truck into the parking garage.
Yeah, I wonder how they'd feel if everybody drove a Hummer into the parking garage.
Okay, the Hummer is an exception to that rule because that thing is way stupidly too heavy.
Yeah.
So Igor says low to mid 20s right now, already seeing 2019's under 20,000.
Wow.
So the 2019 was the year before the refresh. Now Highland comes out with all those other upgrades, and yes, I do think lack of a stock is considered an upgrade. Whether you like that upgrade may be different, but it is considered an upgrade. And um, I drove the X without the stocks, and I did not care for it.
Gotcha.
Um,
You,
my,
and here's the thing to remember: somebody that gets into a 2019 or a 2020, that's already upgraded to them because they hadn't been in it before.
yeah,
You don't know what you're missing if you didn't have it to begin with.
yep,
And like you said, you're happy with your car. You like your car. So
yeah.
what difference does it make that the new one's going to have upgrades when you're perfectly content with the car that you have?
Yeah, and I have a 2020. I'm there. There's nothing that I'm like, oh man, I really want those ventilated seats. I mean, I do want the ventilated seats. I'm in California where those could
Yeah.
be very
Yeah.
useful. But short of that, like I'm not like, oh, I got to go sell my car and get, short of the Cybertruck, which I've been waiting on.
Yeah.
That I'm not planning on getting rid of my car. I literally got a Tesla so I could trade it in when the
Yeah.
Cybertruck comes out. But other than that, there's nothing that's going to make me like, oh, I really want to go get this because of this feature. Like, I'm perfectly happy with my car. For me,
Here's
that
a
works.
question for you. You ordered your Cybertruck 3 years ago, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Does that order travel wherever you move to if you were to move?
I think so.
Yeah. Does the order just follow you?
I would assume so. I mean, I don't know
you
why it
move
would,
to a
because
state-
there's no dealership.
Yeah. But what if
So
you move to a state where they're not allegedly allowed to sell directly to you?
well, then you would have to call the police because someone has a gun to my head for me to move to one of those states.
I'm just
But yeah, I know. To your point, I don't know. I think you probably would just have to go take delivery
in a state
in a neighboring state or
because
reservation.
I've heard a rumor that you're thinking about possibly moving to the Raleigh area.
I am.
Okay. And I will tell you that on the internet today, which I study on a daily basis,
That's not a good idea.
they did a thing about the 50 best cities to move to. And Raleigh was like 18th or 19th on that list. And I immediately thought of you. Now, is North Carolina a state where Tesla is allowed to sell directly to consumers?
Yeah, Raleigh has several Tesla dealerships. They have superchargers or experience centers. Sorry, not
Yes.
dealerships.
Yes.
So yeah, and they're building some stuff over there. So yeah, North Carolina. That was, believe me, EV infrastructure was one thing when I was looking at, where to flee to.
Yeah.
EV infrastructure was a big deal for
Well,
me.
yeah, I would think as someone who has an EV, that would be an important thing. Now, here's the question I need to ask you. Okay, and it has nothing to do with down goes prices. But if ultimately if you were to move to the Raleigh area, and I know that you would be welcome there, would you be? No, you would be.
No. Californians have kind of made a name for ourselves over there, and I do understand that.
But you always wear your Boston hat, so they'll just think you're from Boston. So, would you drive your Tesla cross country, or would you ship it?
I would probably drive as long as that's the first time, because I actually want to take my Tesla cross country. I want to do that drive. I want to experience a non-California EV infrastructure and planning and see how hard it would really be. I mean, I grant I'm in the best car to do it, with the Tesla network, but
Sure.
I'm like, I want to do that. Plus I like driving.
Well, you know what would be interesting, and I'm just spitballing here. But we would need to outfit that vehicle with GoPros and this and that, and we would need on the CarEdge channels, all of them, chronicle your journey cross country, to keep track of it so that people could see if an EV lifestyle could match
Yeah.
their lifestyle. I mean, I think that would be so. If it were to happen, my son has no idea I'm about to say this, but perhaps we could make it part of the CarEdge thing and underwrite part of the trip, because we could utilize videos and everything else from that trip. Just
Yeah, that would be great. So what I'm hearing you say is you'll buy me a house if I allow you to film my driving to North Carolina.
um,
I'm for that. I can do that.
I think you misheard me. Uh,
That's what I heard.
I,
I
I
don't know.
thought I said perhaps we can get CarEdge to underwrite the trip,
Oh,
the drive out. Uh, I mentioned nothing about housing.
oh, okay, okay.
That
So
that part's all on you. But
that's just a line item fee I'm going to charge. It's
whatever.
that's below the MSRP. I'm just going to
Yeah,
add.
no, I get it. Yeah, it's an under the line profit
Yeah.
structure. I get it. Yeah, but I think it would be interesting if you do end up moving, and I don't know if you will or you won't, and I don't think at this point if you will or you won't. But if you did, it would be interesting to chronicle your drive across the country.
Yeah, I would love to do that, just to, because even I don't know. I mean, I've known people who've done it, and they have no problem with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, 53 cents a mile, that would probably net me some good income on that. It certainly doesn't take me that to charge the vehicle.
Yeah, well, but what I think that could be some really interesting content for the channel, or the channels, and I think people would appreciate it. So I don't know if that creates any greater sense of urgency to actually want to look for a property in Raleigh and move.
Well, so we are going to go out later this year, because my sister from Boston was going to move to Orlando, and we got into a long discussion, and for many reasons, she is now considering Raleigh.
Okay.
And I would tell you right now, that would be the linchpin for me. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't really even have to consider it. If she's going to ends up moving to Raleigh, then that would be, or if we all agreed, then we just go there. That wouldn't be a problem. But so we are going to go out there this year and take a look and, get a feel in person, because you can watch all the videos, you can read all the stuff, but it would be interesting. So I don't know that I'm going to drive out for that.
Yeah. Well, you'd fly out for that.
Yeah, for that, I'd probably fly out and then maybe rent a Lucid while I'm out there.
Yeah, sure. What I would find interesting is the fact that you would potentially move from one state capital to another state capital.
So every single thing about Raleigh and Sacramento are very, very similar. The only thing was, and Ray, I've complained about this before, is Raleigh gets a lot more rain than Sacramento.
Yes.
Big plus for me, who's sick and tired of the perfect sunshine weather, and like, okay, I need some rain. I need some, but yes, as to this person's comment, 2 hours from the beach, 4 hours from the mountains. I am 2 hours from the beach and 2 hours from the mountains now.
Yes.
2 hours from the desert, 2 hours from a big city. So, that also played into my calculations. I looked at food diversity, all that. The only thing about Raleigh that I see is maybe a downside is every tech company is building headquarters over there. So you got Meta going in there, you got Apple going in there. You've already have all the biotech already up in the triangle up there. You got Tesla going in. There's another EV maker right there going in Raleigh. So it sounds a lot like moving to Silicon Valley right before they became Silicon Valley,
You
which
want to
is
get in
not
before
a good
the
thing.
prices go up. Yeah, you want to get in before the prices go up.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say this, my children were born in the Phoenix area, and there you have, I don't know, what is it, like 330 days a year of sunshine, and very limited amount of rain, and kind of like your California weather. And once we moved east, I will tell you that my kids much prefer having four seasons and experiencing four seasons every year than they ever like just living in Arizona. They would go back to visit, but they have no desire to live in that type of climate ever again. They really enjoy winter, spring, summer, fall. Um, so maybe
Yeah,
that's something.
I went to school in Tucson, as you know. I have another sister that lives there. And yeah, I didn't last long and I came running back away from there. I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But growing up, or, before 5 years ago here in California, the weather wasn't this. We had what you would consider spring and summer.
Okay.
Um, and that was fine.
Yeah.
I didn't need winter. I didn't need that. But when it's just, dry all the time and it's always sunny and it's always in the 70s and 80s and it never changes, that gets old. And I know people are like, oh, first world problems, but it does get old. It really does get old. If I lived by the ocean, maybe I wouldn't be having these problems because I could lay on the beach all day and with no problems.
Well, on the previous show, Zach and I were talking about maybe we should open or buy an existing dealership. And Zach said, "What do you think about San Diego?" I said, "I hope you have a nice time." I just remodeled my kitchen. I like where I live. I'm not looking to move to California. I'm not looking to move somewhere I couldn't afford even to live in the valley.
Yeah.
And
but you'd want to be in LA, not San Diego, anyway, for a car dealership.
Well,
or Orange County, at least.
Well, truth of the matter is, they sell cars in New Jersey.
They do.
They sell cars in Pennsylvania and Delaware, in Maryland, Virginia. I mean, yeah, and just to shed a little light on how that whole thing ended up. Zach said, "Well, we'd have to have a used car dealership." I said, "No, you don't. You can buy a new car dealership. Why can't you buy a franchise dealership? And why can't you have a conversation with the manufacturer, with the factory, saying, 'Hey, help us make this happen. We want to prove that there's a better way of selling cars, and perhaps through us doing this, it will make it easier for you to get your other dealers in your dealer network to agree to change.'" So who knows? Maybe I'll end up back in the car business again.
Yeah. Hey, and if you're going to buy a franchise, can I suggest Toyota would be a nice one?
Could be. I personally, I'd want one that actually had inventory.
Yeah, but we all know the direction Toyota is going.
Yes.
And they'll be there. So,
Yes.
A little now for a long-term investment would not be.
No, I get it. I get it.
And I have to remind some people continuously, if you don't live here, you don't get to bash it. So shush.
Well, I just know that San Diego is a beautiful area. I mean, when we lived
It is
in
beautiful.
the Phoenix area, I mean, we would do that every year. We would go to San Diego. I mean, you needed a break in the summer from the 115, 120 degree temperatures, so we would go to San Diego for a week or 2 weeks at a time. But I also know that it is insanely expensive to live in that area. And I no, I don't want to spend 5 times as much for accommodations as I would have to spend somewhere else.
But if you go to San Diego, Ray,
Yes.
they have the state's highest homeless population now. So
Oh,
you get to deal with that too.
I thought that was San Francisco, but I do
No,
know
it's San Diego now.
they probably have the state's original In-N-Out burger. Because isn't that where they originated?
No,
Isn't it in
that
San
that
Diego?
that was in Baldwin Park.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I mean, there could be any number of good reasons to move to California, um, but affordability is not one of them.
No, that is definitely, and not San Diego especially.
Yes,
No, it was Baldwin Park. Somebody we know worked for In-N-Out for 6.5 years.
that would be you.
That would be me. That would be
yeah.
me.
Yes.
So yeah, I was in Baldwin Park. I've been to store number one many times.
Wow.
But yes, I agree. Like San Diego's really expensive. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I
It is.
agree.
No, it's gorgeous.
So you know, but a lot has happened to that city too over the last few years.
It's an absolutely magnificent area. I get why people live there.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how they can afford to.
Well, Richard has it.
Yeah.
Oh, not that one. Sorry. James has it. You just have a refrigerator box under the overpass. Costs you about $3,700 a month. But it's your refrigerator box.
Now, wasn't it Trader Joe's that started in San Diego?
I believe so.
Yes, I knew it was something. Yeah. So I could go to the original Trader Joe's.
Me too, Igor. Me too.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think In-N-Out is when Zach and I spent that winter in Vegas. Yes, one of my first stops was an In-N-Out burger in Vegas. Yeah.
Also started in San Diego was Jack in the Box.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that was
wow.
So lots of
things we learned on this show.
That's right. That's right. Taco Bell was somewhere down there too, but I think that was closer to LA.
Wow.
That might have been. Rubio's was in San Diego. I also worked for them.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know why we got into a history of food, but there it is.
I don't know, but food is near and dear to my heart.
Yeah. Well, that's because it's almost your lunchtime.
Yes, that is correct.
Now we just got food on the mind. But I'm always down to talk In-N-Out anyway, because it was my now second favorite company I've ever worked for. CarEdge being number one, and I'm not saying that just because we're on the air, but everything you guys see on the Zach and Ray show, everything you see on CarEdge is 100% authentic. That is who Zach and Ray are, and working for them is as wonderful as you all think. And I get great bosses like Phil as well, even though he thinks he can bash on California. He's still a great guy. So it's a great company.
We have, if I may, a team of people that are also like-minded as to what it is that we're trying to do, and so committed to making that happen that it just, I don't know, just becomes fun to actually try and make it happen.
Yeah. It is fun. Like I mean, we have challenges because it's business and it's still work, and I deal with the public every day, and there are challenges that go with that. But I will tell you, this is the most satisfying job I've ever had. I love what I do. I love helping people every day. I like the team that Zach has built is absolutely incredible. I built teams for 30 years. I will say I didn't do it as well as Zach has built this team. So it's lots of fun to work here and get to do this. I mean, I just told Zach, hey, let me take over the electric show and let's debate about it. And he said, okay, go try that. That's kind of great guy Zach is. So
it's we value each other as humans. I think that's what we value each other as people, and we respect each other as people. And it's what we've built into the discussions that we have on this program. And it's really what we've built into the culture and the philosophy at CarEdge. Do people get angry with each other? I'm sure they do at times. But maybe I'm too far away from it, but I haven't heard of situations where somebody's backstabbing somebody else. It's like everybody seems to be on the same page and all pulling in the same direction.
No, I agree. I think I'm the biggest hothead on the team. So, that puts things into perspective. We don't talk about each other negatively behind each other's backs. We do talk about each other, but how amazing this person is doing this and this and this. And we all learn from each other every day. And
Yep.
it's an incredible team. So
it really is.
I think Phil can attest. I am the biggest hothead on the team. And to answer Bob's question, of course you can be arrested. Whether you'll be prosecuted is a different story.
That's a different story.
Yeah. But of course you'll be arrested.
Yeah. If you get caught, you'd be arrested. Yeah. Come on. But yes, prosecuted's a completely different story. They might not have time for that.
Yeah. They have other things to wage war on. Yeah.
Well,
so,
it is close enough to lunchtime that it's lunchtime.
Yes, it is. It is. And I think I got meetings all day, Ray. So I might have to go grab something real fast myself. And then we will be back here on Friday.
Do we have a guest on Friday, or is it just you and I again?
I don't think Justin's back yet. I keep waiting. So I'm very anxiously awaiting Justin's return.
Absolutely.
I used to talk to Justin every single day. And I've talked to him once since he went out on maternity leave. And I feel like a Justin withdrawal here. I need some grounding. I need some facts and some numbers.
I think I hear what you're saying correctly. If I can read between the lines, I think you're saying you miss him.
I do miss Justin.
I think we all do.
I'm ready for him to come back now. I'm glad he's getting his time with his family, but I don't want to be selfish. I want Justin to come back now to us over here.
Yeah. Well, let's start a petition.
I try not to bother him. Like, he needs his time with his family. That's great. But I'll figure out who we can do on Friday. I know next Wednesday, so 1 week from today.
Yes.
We have a very big show.
Yes.
We're going live with Farzad and Brandon from Car Questions Answered. And we are going to talk, I guess we're going to talk all things Tesla. That was not necessarily my suggestion, but that seems to be the way that came through. I try not to be a Tesla fanboy, even though I'm a Tesla fanboy.
Yeah.
But I try not to push that on people. But there's a lot of questions, and Brandon had a lot of questions about it and all that. And so I think, him coming through and asking the questions that so many people still even talk about in our comments here is going to be lots of great fun on next Wednesday. So we'll be back.
But I'm
Friday with something.
Friday first, and I'm looking forward to Saturday night.
That's right, with a Car Coach Takeover.
Yes.
With you, and I don't know if you know who your co-host is, but I'm going to tell you right now, Ashley.
Oh, very cool.
So, very excited to have Ashley come on and do that with the Car Coach Takeover. So that's going to be a lot of fun. You guys are going to do some live deal reviews where you get to
forward to it,
where you get to call some members live on the air and go over their deal with them. So that is going to be absolutely fantastic. Those who don't know Ashley, she's one of our coaches. She's one of the people you get on chat all the time and talk to. She does this every day, and wow, is she knowledgeable.
Yes.
So she's been in the industry for a long time, and it's going to be great. But if you want your deal reviewed, how do they get their deal reviewed, Ray?
Well, they would simply email Justice, JUSTISE @CarEdge.com, and in the subject line, please put review my deal and send your deal information to Justice himself. And hopefully, perhaps your deal will make the cut and you will receive a phone call from us so we can review the deal with you live on the air.
Yes, and certainly if anyone who's watching this stream, if you have a used EV you're looking at, please submit that and I'll come on and I'll do that one myself. Otherwise, I'm just going to be producing because I like that on the Saturday show. But if you want me to do, or Ray, if you want Ray, you can ask him. If you want a used EV deal reviewed, please send it in because I know we won't get a lot of those.
We shall see.
So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. We'll be back on Friday with somebody talking about something. We'll be here. Yeah. So have a great day. Thank you, Ray.